Hey, Luca Nation, we're gonna do the picks here. In case you're running up against the time, you get to see the picks right up front. But do me a favor, listen to this episode. I kind of go off on a little bit of a tangent here about Mahomes when it wasn't even during the Chiefs game analysis. I think it was we were talking about one of the other games, maybe the Bears Vikings, and I got Andrew going a little crazy about my hatred for Mahomes. I know there's a lot of Mahomies out there that listen to this, so after you get the picks, go ahead and listen to the episode. And you'll be able to message me and tell me what a lunatic I am for not liking Mahomes. But here we go. We got the 1 o'clock games. Got the Colts -7. Give me the Titans -9. Falcons +7. Dolphins -1. The Seahawks -6.5. The Vikings -2.5. Give me the Jags and all those points +13. Cowboys +3.5. I think the Cowboys actually win this game. But with 3.5, it's pretty easy for me. Give me the Rams -17. The Jets will not even score in this game. Maybe they'll kick a field goal. Cardinals -6. Give me the Saints +2.5. I think the Saints win this one outright. And give me the Browns -6.5. There's your picks for NFL Week 15. Good luck. Have some fun with it. Should be a nice slate of games today. And stick around for the whole episode. Like I said, there's some fun Mahomes talk in here. Thanks, everybody.
On that note, Luca Nation, it's week 15 in the NFL. This season flew by. At some points this year, we didn't even know if there would be an NFL season. We didn't know if college football would happen. Now we got bowl games, playoffs right around the corner. And hey, next week NBA season starts. So it's a pretty good time to be alive, Cage. I'm pretty
I
excited.
agree. I mean, it's pretty crazy, to tell you the truth. Look, we've seen some sports. We've seen some
stumped the big man. Stumped the big man.
We've seen interrupted sports, right? We've seen like baseball, do their thing. Basketball did their bubble. Baseball had the Cardinals stuff. I was about to say, the reason why I kind of paused there, I was about to say for a second that, they've done a good job with the season. But I remember there for a time, I mean, there have been some COVID scares. They've had some, what did we have, a Tuesday night football game? I mean, we had, I don't remember, did we have a Wednesday night football game? Like, they had some issues, but they've been able to kind of work their way around the issues. They I guess they did a good enough job. I mean, can't really fault them too much. But yeah, I mean, look, they've done the best they can with this, and you're right. We're about to make it through the season, where they're about to have, I guess a playoffs that'll come. So yeah, I mean, week 15, it really is crazy. And we're happy
my takeaway?
Please.
You want to know my takeaway?
Please.
Don't believe 99.9% of what the media tells you.
How's that your takeaway for the NFL season?
Because if you think about it, most of the stuff that we panicked about was all stuff that was reported by the media and not the actual accounts of the leagues.
Oh, are you saying fake news?
I'm not saying fake news. I'm just saying other people's secondhand opinions on what's going to happen or what they propose will happen. Because they're not any more informed than we are. But they come off to be because they have a blue check mark next to their account.
All right. Listen, one day I hope to have a blue check mark next to our account. How do we make that happen?
I don't want a blue check mark. Blue check marks are pretentious.
I'm going to put a blue check mark next to all of your accounts. I'm going to hack them all. I'm going to put a blue check mark, and then I'm going to send you troll-like messages calling you pretentious, and you're going to have to say,
now.
You said I didn't even want this blue check mark.
What do you even think Ian's card coloring is? I know you run that account.
Yeah, sure.
And you send me inappropriate things.
He just sends pictures of his cards. That's so funny. People message me all the time. They're like, Ian sent me a card. I'm like, okay, well, what do you want? He's just sending you pictures of cards he thought you might like. No, nothing to it. He doesn't want you to trade for it. And they're like, yeah, but it's a blue velocity Jamal McGlure. And I'm like, all right, well.
Jamal McGlure was legit. McGlure was legit.
What do you want me to tell you? It's not the most valuable card, but he seems to like it.
Cage, let me ask you something. How much did you sell your Josh Allen Prism PSA 10 for?
I don't remember if it was 400, 600. I could probably look. Hang on a second. I could probably look.
The reason I ask that, guys, is this is a phenomenon. This is a key piece of information that I think you guys should study, learn, just at least know. And if you look at Josh Allen's season, he's had a remarkable season, right? 11-3.
Yeah.
They're top of that division. He has 28 touchdowns, I think 8 or 9 interceptions. He has 6 more touchdowns running. I believe also he caught a touchdown. He's exceeding all expectations going into this year, right?
He's
Cage?
got 39 offensive touchdowns this year, second in the NFL.
Amazing. His completion percentage is 67%.
Mhm.
Insane. That card right now, with them leading the division, being in first place, going into the playoffs and having a real shot in the playoffs to make it to the AFC Championship, maybe the Super Bowl,
Mhm.
that card is the exact same price as it was during the preseason run-up.
Well, that's good, I guess, because it definitely dropped down a little, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much is it at now?
But think about that. It's about 600.
Okay.
The reason I say that, it's not to actually steer you in any decision. I think it's just an interesting piece of data that it's important to understand how the hobby works. It actually seems to work very similar to the stock market, right? In the sell the buy the hype, sell the earnings.
Sell the news, yeah. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Buy the hype, sell the earnings works too, but buy the rumor, sell the news.
It's fascinating that the earnings, right, is his performance this year, which is remarkable.
We've talked about that where it's like I think I sold mine for about 600 because I either sold it in the preseason run up or like in week 1, 2, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like right when he was like, wow, it's still the hype of it. And you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see a chart where you did a comparison between him and Kyler Murray. Because they probably both hit highs around
the first week, the last week in September.
First week. Yeah,
Cage,
first week of the season.
Here are the last sales: 550, 615, 560, 599, right around that price that you sold for, maybe even a little less.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting, Cage. That's very interesting.
Well, I mean, what does it tell you, and what can you learn from it, right? I mean, it tells you, I think, that you you should figure out that people are selling in the middle of the season of these things, right? I think that's the way that it's kind of been. It tells you that if you want to take some of the risk out of your equation, and I would say normally I would have thought that somebody like Josh Allen performing the way that he did would mean that his cards will go up more if he performs than what they were in the preseason. But it doesn't seem to be holding out. Maybe just not on him, right? So does it tell you preseason sales are the best time to do it? Because if your guy does everything he's supposed to do and more, you're still not going to be in a better position. He's just gonna go back up to that point. If he doesn't meet all the expectations, his team kind of falters a little. Like Kyler Murray, you're going to get less for it. What if Josh Allen goes on to some playoff success? Is there some potential he goes up? But I mean, is that risk worth holding it for 17 weeks?
Right.
For like a perfect scenario. And what
long
does that
term?
Do? Go ahead.
Long term, I don't know. I don't have a conclusion. But short term, it certainly feels like speculators are the ones that push the price up, right? And the speculators are the ones that are coming in before the year starts and are doing the left go. This is my guy, putting their money where their mouth is, and that's what's pushing the price up. And when they kind of leave and they go find another or another sport to speculate in, there's not as much that's driving that base Prism PSA 10 price up. That's what I'm taking from it.
So do you think, though, that with everybody learning this, that changes?
No, because you're seeing that right now with Zion, right? People are like, is this going to be $1,000 card if he's putting up 25 and 10? Well, I sort of feel that price is already baked in. right?
Well, how
Because
much is
people,
Zion's? Go ahead.
his are 800. But my point is, all the speculators are already into his cards.
Mhm.
Same as all the speculators were into Kyler Murray and Josh Allen. So he could have an amazing year, and I don't think that price is going to budge. I don't know.
So I wonder if, and I mean, I have to look at it because it looks like Zion's looked really good in these couple of preseason games. Whereas, if you want to talk about Trey, Young hasn't looked the greatest. So far. I mean, I don't think he's looked the greatest. My deal, right? So if it were Trey, let's just use Trey's silver and base price. If you would say that his card followed the same as like the Josh Allen and those things, right? Wouldn't he be going up now? Wouldn't he be on the upswing more now than everybody else? Like if we followed like the Kyler Murray and the what do you call it? The Kyler and the Josh Allen thing, you would think, okay, well, he's going to have to, he's going up right now, and then in the first week of the season, he's going to hit his peak, and then it's going to go down from there, right? And then he'll go back up if he does well. But I think we've seen people bought in on him like a month ago, and we saw the rise on him like a month ago, and then like maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, it peaked and started to come back down. Like I sold those cards at like 725, 730 for his PSA 10. And now I think they're like 560, 570. They've actually started to come down. So have people already adjusted to it? Have people started to get in earlier and kind of like now start to jump out before the season even starts? I mean, it's a weird phenomenon, but
it really is weird, right?
Yeah.
And it's worth noting, even though it's Sunday, guys, we know it's our against the spread plays, teasers, money lines. We cover the NFL slate for today, but it was something I was observing, and as I always say, I would be remiss not to bring it to Luca Nation. So, Cage, are you ready to jump into the games?
I am. I mean, I'm excited about a couple of games today. I mean, I really am.
Wow.
We picked the games yesterday, and we did all right on those. Rodgers didn't have that walk type of game that I thought he was going to have. I mean, he had a rushing touchdown. Obviously, they were never in doubt that game. He had a passing touchdown, no interceptions again. I definitely thought he would go out there and really go nuts, but he didn't, and that's all right, I guess. But this is he didn't throw a pick and his team won, and I got to give the Panthers a little bit of credit, right? They turned it on in the second half. They really pressured him. So
yeah, and you also kind of realize in games like that you want to protect your quarterback.
Yep.
So they ran the ball, 28 times. Rodgers threw 29 times. But most of Rodgers throws were like 5, 6, 7, 20 yards down the field, nothing too deep where he could get crushed and hold the ball too long in the pocket, because it seems like they're playing for the playoffs, right? You don't want to get your star quarterback hurt versus a 4-9 team. I think this week is a really tough slate just looking at it. So I'm excited to see what you're seeing. Well, where do you want to start? Big man?
We'll do the 1:00 games. We'll go in order, but I do want to do first, right off the bat, just in case people are listening to this one. We want to talk about what I think is, the most exciting game of the week. I try to do that, and then we'll just jump right back to the 1:00, and that'll be fine.
Yep.
But if there's a clear-cut best game on today's schedule, it happens.
It's the Browns Giants.
100%. 100%. Let's talk about the Browns Giants. I've been on the Browns all year. No, I'm just not. I'm not going to do that. But I mean, come on. It's Drew Brees coming back healthy, hopefully. And it's the Chiefs against the Saints. I mean, this is a potential Super Bowl matchup, right? It's pretty crazy. And, Saints did not look that good with Taysom Hill last week to Philadelphia. Come on. And, what that did with Breeze out there, that knocked New Orleans out of the top spot for the NFC. Because Green Bay has a tiebreaker against them. So if both teams win out, Green Bay gets a number one spot. Who knows what that means with no fans and all that other fun stuff. But, obviously the Saints are playing to win every one of these games that they can, because, that top spot's still in play. Green Bay doesn't look infallible. But what did it show you during this time off? Yeah, Taysom Hill was good at playing, turkey bowl type of football and, backyard game. You run to the fire hydrant and I'll hit you with the ball kind of thing. But when the chips are down, they need Drew Brees. If they want to compete, they want to be the top level team. They want to try to make a run at another Super Bowl. They need Brees in there, and they need him healthy. So making his return. What do you think? These are two teams that have one of the higher percentages of winning championship. I try to look at like NFL championship odds just to kind of give a little color to this. And the Chiefs have a 23% chance right now of winning the Super Bowl, and the Saints are a 16% chance of winning the Super Bowl. And that right now, that's the top in the NFC. There are no teams in the NFC getting better odds to win the Super Bowl than them. So, best versions of these teams, they both have good offenses and turnover happy defenses. They create opportunities. I don't know. Let's see. This is a road game for them. Top contender for the Chiefs. If the Saints defense can do what they are able to do here, I think that they have a shot here. And the line started off at 3. It's actually 2.5 now. So I don't know if you're the line guy. To me, I see that, and I think that means a little bit of money is coming in on the Saints. It could also just mean people are trying to trap people and put the money on the Saints because it's not a field goal. I like the Saints here. I think Drew Brees comes back. I think that the Chiefs they've been playing dangerous games recently. They haven't been blowing people out. They almost lost the second game this season to the Raiders. I don't know if it's, we've watched LeBron, right? We've watched LeBron during the bubble and during the season kind of play half-ass, I'll call it, right? Lazy.
Yep.
And I was always concerned during that if they never, rev the engine, they never really did it. And then they were forced to kind of kick it into gear all at once. Sometimes your car doesn't like that. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to open it up every once in a while in practice, because it's like a shock to the system and maybe it doesn't work that way. I worry about that with the Chiefs. I worry about that with sports teams when they just, they play what looks like bored and uninspired football and not going full out. Then when they need to go full out and turn it on, they can't. It just doesn't. Things just don't work like that, right? And I think that might be the case.
Let me quickly contextualize that.
Please.
They've been able to beat some mediocre teams, not horrible teams, but they beat some average teams. Kicking it into gear versus some of the better teams, it's a bit of a shock. You're absolutely right, Cage.
So, I mean, I don't know if that happens today. Look, it's Drew Brees' first game back. He might come back early. He might not be fully healthy. I mean, there's a lot of things the general public will never know. But all things being equal on paper, what I've seen from the Chiefs, and I watch them a lot. I'm an AFC West guy. I think the Saints, if they play their best game, are actually better than the Chiefs. This is one of those quarterback toss-ups, right? I'm not a huge Mahomes guy. I'm like the only person out there who will say that. I think he's great. I think he's a great quarterback. I don't think he's the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. I think he's fortunate to have some really good weapons around him. I don't love that defense. I don't think Chiefs defense is that great. And, unfortunately, I guess for the Mahomes out there, he's not playing cornerback or safety also. He goes out there and does his thing. The Saints play a complete game here. I think the Saints win this game, not just getting the 2.5 points. I think this is the Saints win. So I'm excited to watch the game because it's fun. Normally when you watch the Saints game, it's just let's just make sure Drew Brees gets the ball at the end, and whichever team gets the ball last wins, and that could turn into that type of a game. But I like the Saints defense this year. For the first time, I think the Saints defense actually is a factor. So that's a fun
Michael
game.
Thomas is out.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, man. Brees is one of those few quarterbacks in the league that turns people into weapons. Michael Thomas is a great ball player, but Drew Brees has been turning mediocre wide receivers a la Marcus Colston out of Hofstra. Look him up if you don't know who that is. I mean, that's a perfect example of a all-time great quarterback turning a Hofstra player. This is a college in Long Island that I don't think, I think Wayne Corbett and Marcus Colston might be the only NFL players to ever come out of that school. When your quarterback is great, you can turn a Marcus Valdez, Scandling, whatever his name is, and whoever else the Green Bay Packers have lining up a wide receiver. And then when you have a great quarterback, they turn, receivers that would otherwise be in the Arena League
That's right.
into potential All-Pros. On the other
I'll
side
tell
of
you
the
guys,
ball,
I don't know how you don't throw the Saints in a teaser.
yeah,
Add 6 points to it. I just, at home, with Drew Brees coming back, they're motivated off a loss versus a rookie quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Having them at +9 or +9.5 cage, I don't know. I think that's a great closing leg of a teaser. Don't you think so?
yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I don't. Who was the last team the Chiefs blew out? I mean, they didn't really even blow out the Jets. I think they might have covered against the Jets, but it might have been like a late, like really close type of thing. So, and obviously the Saints are not the Jets. So, yeah, I like it, especially because I think the Saints are going to win the game. So you want to throw them in a teaser, go right ahead. So another actually exciting game. I'm going to go to the 1 o'clock, but this is actually a game that I would put in. If we were doing the top 2, 3, 4 games to watch, I'm pretty excited to see this game. Seahawks at the Washington football team. Can we give this team a name already? Can we give this team a name? So here's why I thought this game was funny, right? Why it stuck out to me. I'd like for you to get back in your DeLorean, Dr. Brown, and I want you to go back to week 6, right? And if we were doing our prep show in week 6 and said that the 5-0 Seahawks and the 1-5 footballers, they'd be meeting in week 15 with Washington having a better chance of winning its division than Seattle, people would think you're insane. But that's where we are now.
That's pretty crazy.
15,
that
right?
is pretty crazy. I agree.
So not that you still want to be Washington, who sits there at 6-7, as opposed to the Seahawks at 9-4. But we all know, right? The Rams have caught the Seahawks from behind in the NFC East, and the Washington team has improved with Alex Smith at quarterback. But what do we have today? We don't have Alex Smith. We have Dwayne Haskins, and I do not have any faith in Mr. Haskins at all. This is a guy who I believe, I'm not in the clubhouse, but I believe faked injuries this year so that he couldn't be the backup quarterback and have to be on the sidelines. I think he was upset about being benched, right? And he wasn't even suited up for some of these games. I don't know if he was injured or not, but it seems to be that on the day where they needed to start, here he is fully healthy. So I don't know what kind of injuries those were. I don't know if he had a stomach bug or what the story was there. But, one of those things that will come back to haunt him because, in the NFL, what is the quarterback is they get nicks, they get dings, they get all kinds of injuries. And, there's always a next man up strategy. We saw that with, Marcus Mariota this week, right? The backup quarterback is one play away from not being the backup anymore. And I don't think this kid handled it the right way. A lot of news articles about him fighting with coaches and all the other fun stuff. I don't trust him. He didn't look good when he was starting, and there's a reason that, Washington turned it around without him at the helm. So this is one where I like the Seahawks here. You have the Seahawks minus -6.5 to win this game by a touchdown. Seahawks haven't really looked that great. But this is just one of those ones where I think Washington's getting respect based on what they've done with Alex Smith at quarterback. They don't have him at quarterback. I love Washington's defense. I do. And, the key to this game is going to be what the offensive line's able to do and whether or not Russell Wilson is going to be able to scramble away from Chase Young and just that defense. But, ultimately it comes down to if I'm putting money on this, I'm not trusting Dwayne Haskins with my money. And what say you, sir? You like Washington. I know you're a Washington defense fan. I know you're a big Chase Young believer.
I like Chase Young. There's only so much one defensive end can do. Chase Young is phenomenal. He's literally unbelievable. But I'm a believer in Alex Smith, and he's out today. And
yep, that was the big decision. That was the big thing.
Yeah, that's a big deal, man. A quarterback is, I don't know what percentage of success, but hands down the most part of your success is on the quarterback, and Dwayne Haskins just ain't it. So, yeah, pretty simple, straightforward play. Back to what I said yesterday about picking the better of the two quarterbacks, the discrepancy here couldn't be farther apart. I love this in a teaser, by the way. You got nice Seahawks to win the game, and you got Saints +9. I think that's a really, really good way to play this game.
So the next game I pick, also a 1 o'clock game, fun one to watch. This is one that I would tease to a money line. And it's going to tell you the lack of faith I have in my pick. So read into this however you like, right? So the game is the Bucks at the Falcons, right? And the spread here is Bucks -7. All right. The Bucks have fallen into one of those categories we've liked to talk about for the last couple of weeks. Those Gemini teams, those teams that you can't figure out week to week. They look like world beaters as opposed to teams that just look terrible. And you wouldn't expect that out of a Tom Brady-led team, but you kind of give him a pass. It's his first year there, and there's been some weird stuff going on with that. But they played Minnesota last week. Another one of those Gemini teams that we talk about, maybe the lead. And it was not Brady, but it was their pass rush, which was huge. The Bucs pass rush was all over Kirk Cousins. I mean, they disrupted that game. And even though the Vikings moved the ball, Cook is great. That underneath type of offense was really good. When it came time to clamp down, the Bucs defense, basically kept the Vikings out of the end zone when they needed. The Falcons and the Vikings are very similar teams, right?
Yes,
they have a decent enough QB. They're both a little underachievers. And they do a lot of the underneath passing and all that other fun stuff, right? It's similar offense, similar quarterback that's just below that really good quarterback level, right? Cousins is good enough, but no one's talking about him as being elite. Basically their same weakness as what the Vikings have, which is they're prone to the pass rush, right? And Matt Ryan is not exactly what you would call a mobile quarterback. The Bucs are going to the playoffs here. This is going to happen, and I do think the Bucs are going to win this game. But I think giving 7 points to the Falcons is too much here. The Bucs have won too many games, 27-24, 24-21, 30-27, those type of games where defense keeps them in it, the offense does just enough, they win the game and they move along. They haven't had that many of those blowout wins. And even in this Minnesota game where they where they won the game, Minnesota was able to move the ball on them. I expect the Falcons at home to be able to move the ball. And while my bet here is that not that the Falcons win this game, I think the Falcons plus a touchdown is pretty safe. So I'd like to tease this one down if I were teasing and basically take it like the Bucs money line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll tell you guys one thing I noticed, and I'm not a football expert by any means, so we have a huge community out there. Tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I'll tell you, watching Tom Brady and Mike Evans this year, Mike Evans is a really poor route runner. And a lot of Brady's poorly thrown passes, in my opinion, from watching some of the games, are because Mike Evans doesn't run the routes that Brady wants him to run. So football.
And why is that? I don't know the reason for that too. Is Brady throwing the ball where Evans is supposed to be, and Evans doesn't go there? I mean, isn't that like a practice thing? I mean, we're talking about practice.
Yes, I'm gonna default to trusting a 5-time Super Bowl winner or someone who learned under Bill Belichick and really understands football versus going on the side of Evans here. But I could be wrong.
All right. Well, listen, you talk about Belichick, and it makes me want to go to the Cleveland Browns game that we want to talk about so much.
Can
Browns,
I tell
Giants,
you? Let's go to the Browns-Giants game. But let me.
No, that's at 8:00. We didn't do the 1:00, but that's fine. Go ahead. Talk to me. Go ahead.
I think this is one of the most just insane, mind-blowing stats out there. Okay, you know the Browns' record?
Yeah, the Browns are 9-4. Yep.
Do you know their point differential for this full season?
No, I have no idea. What is it?
-20.
Wow.
-20.
That's good. It means that
348 points, and they've given up 368. When did you see that? A 9-4 team with a -20 point differential.
Well, it means they've won the closer games, right? Although last week was not an example of that, but it means they won the closer games, but in other games they get blown out. But also, listen, do you remember how they started the season off? So this past week, we saw that awesome game where they played against the Ravens, right? And you saw Lamar Jackson go out to use the bathroom. I don't care what anybody says. He did not have cramps. He was not getting fluids. The dude was running. You could see him running back into the locker room. That was not like somebody with cramps that would have to carry him. That dude had to go to the bathroom. I don't care what anybody says. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look this up. Go get some video. He pulled a Paul Pierce on folks, right? So, but that was a nice shootout, like a crazy game, right? But do you remember the first time they played? They got beat by like 40 points. The Ravens just steamrolled them.
Well as the Steelers, right?
Yeah, so when you have a couple of lopsided losses like that, it's going to skew that whole point differential thing, especially as the team has kind of gotten a little bit better, I think, as they go along. But it's a shame because had they beaten the Ravens, the hell, let's just jump into that Cleveland game. It's the 8 o'clock game, but who cares? Had they beaten the Ravens, it would have been their best 13-game start. As it is, it matches the start from 1994 where they were 9-4, and Belichick took them to an 11-5 record and the divisional round of the playoffs. So I don't know. I mean, right now it looks like the Browns are going to make the playoffs. This is what it looks like. It looks like Browns can make the playoffs for the first time since I think 2007 they were in the playoffs. And while the Giants have turned this thing around here, I don't trust the Giants. They got a couple wins. They're 5-8. The bad loss recently there that they had. And, this one here, I just think that the Browns are the better team. I think they got a better run game. I think they got a better passing game. The line has really moved on this one and towards the Browns. I think this one opened up around -4. Now it's -6.5. And I honestly don't think it matters. I think the Browns cover this one. What say you, sir?
Can I ask you something?
No, you're not allowed. Of course. This is what we're here for.
Do you remember a wide receiver that went down for the Browns?
This year or in years past?
Yeah, Odell. And
Yeah,
they're
Odell
4-1 since then.
Well, addition by subtraction is why. That's what I like to say. That is not a team player right there. That is a distraction. It's amazing because when you have that kind of talent, right, you just expect that that's somebody who makes the team better. But
and Myles Garrett, he was back last week, but if you read some articles, he was still battling the effects of COVID. And so, sometimes if you've read that happens, after you recover a little bit, your lungs are still a little bit sore, weak. I'm expecting him to be back in full flight this week. And as much as I picked the Giants actually to have that huge upset a few weeks ago, I just don't think they have enough. I think they're a worse team with Daniel Jones. And I think Myles Garrett pressuring Daniel Jones, he's going to have another fumble recovery and maybe a fumble recovery for a touchdown. He's a monster.
Wow. Like a strip sack fumble return. I like it.
He's so good, dude. He's so good.
I mean, we've talked about him. That Browns defense, really, really good. They are a good team. And speaking of teams that are not that good, let's jump back to the 1 o'clock and talk about the Jaguars at the Ravens. The Jaguars. I think at the beginning of the season, I picked the Jaguars to go 3-13 as the worst team in the NFL, and I might have given them too much credit. You know what I mean? Like it's they're 1-12. They haven't won a game since week 1. I remember when I picked them 3-13 and then they came out and they won week 1 and I'm like, oh geez. What did I do? Who did they beat? Did they beat the Colts, I think? Right? They beat the Colts in week 1?
Let me check it. I
think they did because I remember doing it was episode 55 and I remember doing our NFL preview and I picked the Colts to basically go to the Super Bowl. And I picked the Ravens. Yep. And I picked the Jaguars to be the worst team in the league. And week 1 came, and I'm like, oh man, I should not do NFL picking.
Minshew Mania 2.0 might be better than the original. Is the headline as the Colts get stunned by the Jaguars 27-20 in the season opener.
I mean, football is a long season. It doesn't feel like it because we're coming towards the end. But I mean, after week 1, I kind of was like, damn, I should not be doing NFL picks here. I mean, I did like a seasonal pick. Lucky for us, it was a seasonal thing. But after week 1, I'm like, I picked the Jags to be the worst team in the AFC. I picked the Colts to be the best, and the Jags just beat the Colts. But look at where we've come. The Jags haven't won another game since, and they're in line for they have to go out and bribe whoever the Jets are playing the next couple of weeks to get them to.
Let me ask you
take
something,
a dive.
and I'm going to get a lot of backlash on this. You remember my theory last night with going better quarterback from here on out?
Yep.
Who's a better quarterback, Minshew or Lamar?
That's funny. Lamar's a better quarterback. Lamar's a better quarterback. Now you're going to say he's not a quarterback. He's just a running back that throws the ball every now and again, aren't you?
This plus 13 is really, really interesting. I don't think the Ravens have looked like world beaters by any means. I think that they significantly are underachieving, but maybe they're just not as good of a team as we think they are.
Yep.
That's a lot of points to give. You guys know we're huge Minshew fans here, so that's a lot of points to give to him. And Jerome Robinson has looked good all year. I'm interested. I think this game comes down to a field goal.
So I'm gonna pick the Jags here. Also, we're getting 13 points. You know, when I first looked at this, I'm like, all right, I don't care how many points it is. The Ravens are going to come out embarrassed. Lamar Jackson's been reading articles all week about how, you know, he had to take a poop break. And he doesn't want to hear about it anymore. He wants to change the headlines to that he's back to MVP form heading into the Super Bowl. But you know, I'm with you. You know, the Jaguars, they just seem to keep these games close. They seem to keep the games close that they shouldn't. Of course, I say this now, and they're going to lose, 42-3. But I like the kid Robinson. You know, that is the key here, right? So run the ball, keep it a grinding out time game. You know, don't let the Ravens, score 57,000 points. The Ravens defense has not looked good. That is the big difference between years past and this year's team in Baltimore. The Ravens, who are 8-5, normally they did enough on offense, and their defense is what kept them in games. They've had some real defensive struggles this year. And while I'm not saying the Jaguars are going to beat the Ravens, I'm with you. I think that 2 touchdowns is a bit too much. And I think the Jags do enough to keep it close. And that is where we're going to go with that one. I would love to see the Jaguars win that game. That would just be great. I would love to see the Jaguars win that game, but I don't think it happens. All right,
it's a tough year for the Harbaugh brothers, right? It would be amazing to cap it like that.
Oh yeah, Texans at the Texans, Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts. So this is one of those games, right, where you normally would think like this is couple weeks left. We're fighting for the division here. This is going to be a big one, but it just doesn't have that flavor this year, right? Because the Texans are 4-9, already eliminated from playoff contention. That's a shame too, because they have a really good quarterback. I mean, Deshaun Watson's one of those guys that just, there seem to be these quarterbacks every generation or so where they're really good, but they just don't get a chance to play those meaningful games. Their team doesn't do a good job of building around them, and they kind of fall by the wayside. It's a shame because I think he's as talented as basically any quarterback in the league right now, and to see his team at 4-9. On the other side of the ball, you got the Colts at 9-4. This is one of those times where I'm going to go against your. Go with the best quarterback, because I know Deshaun Watson is going to be the best player on the field, but Rivers is no slouch. And more importantly, This is the first game where the Texans have been eliminated, right? They still had a shot last week. It was early enough in the season where, had they won last week and run themselves to 5-8, if they could still be playing for non-losing record and go 8-8 and have a shot to maybe squeeze in if all their chips fell. But now they're eliminated, and they've read that all week. I think it's just one of those games where they take the week off. I do. I think so too. They're expected to lose. They've fought hard in some of these games, and now they're just going to come into it. I don't think you're going to get much of an effort from a Texans team on the road here that knows they're supposed to lose this game. So I'm going Colts -7.
I love it. Guys, this is shaping up to be one of the sharpest analysis episodes, in my opinion. We'll see how that works at 9-10 p.m. tonight.
Listen.
But I'll tell my analysis is exactly what you said. So 2 weeks ago, they played the Colts. They had a chance to win, and Deshaun fumbled on the goal line.
Yep.
Then they got crushed by the Bears. This whole season has been deflating. Then they use all of their energy to get right back up. Then they lose Will Fuller to a suspension. Then they lose that cornerback to a suspension. I just don't see how they get up for this game. when on the other side of the ball, the Colts are finally coming together. They're getting all the pieces together on defense. They're getting healthy. Jonathan Taylor starting to work. Hines is just off the charts. I think these are two teams that are going in separate directions, and the motivation is just way off. I don't see how the Texans get up for this game, and I think the Colts are super pumped up for it.
I mean, that's the deal, right? And I mean, we try to do obviously the best analysis that we can. But there's games, right? I mean, you're not going to be perfect in every one of these games. Nobody can go 16-0 here. But things happen. The ball bounces the way it is. But yeah, I mean, we're trying to give the analysis that we can on these, and I think you're 100% right. I mean, that's why we say it, right? I think that the Texans just basically they nail it in this week. I mean, they may play spoiler down the road in the next 2 weeks. That's fine, but I think it's one of those things where they just don't have it in them now to get up for one more this week because they just, they're a little deflated. Another fun game here: Detroit Lions at the Tennessee Titans.
You want me to go? You went a little bit silent there.
No. I mean, I'm there. I can envision a situation where the Lions can play with the Titans, where they can keep it close. And the only situation where that happens, and this is almost any team, but the only situation where a team can play with the Titans is if they find a way to lock down Derrick Henry. But unless the Lions find a way to lock him in the locker room and don't let him out onto the field today, the Lions have no shot of stopping this guy. He was a pick for us in cards this week. I hope we got some people sending us pictures. Hey, we picked up a Derrick Henry silver. We picked up a card. I love that stuff, by the way. People buying the stuff. And I hope he goes out there and rewards everybody there. The Titans need the game, right? Because the Colts are still in the running for that AFC South division. And the Titans have to keep winning. The Titans have to keep doing what they're doing. And this is a game where I can see Detroit keeping it close to the first half. I mean, I can see a first half score of 14-10 or something like that. But Derrick Henry is just a beast in the second half of games. They call him the championship rounds in the UFC, right? Rounds 4 and 5, where if a fight's close, the champion does what he needs to do in those championship rounds to just put the other person away. Derrick Henry he's the championship round running back. I mean, he just beats a team down into submission, and then he will run over people towards the end of the game. None of these guys want to tackle him in the fourth quarter. And, we got Stafford dealing with rib injury that he sustained last week. And, this is one where it's just shaping up. Titans -9. I think they cover it real easy. And, I've never been a believer in the Titans, but these pass-happy offenses, when it comes time in the winter, when it comes down to football, when it comes down to playoff football, it's ball control, it's clock management, it's a Derrick Henry time. And you saw it last year with the Titans playoff run. This is the time of the year where he starts to kick it into gear and really can put a team on his shoulders. And there's nobody else like him in the league.
This is cool. So these two teams haven't met since September 18th of 2016. And the Lions give up 132 rushing yards a game, 28th in the league, whereas the Titans are second in the league in rushing with 157 yards. I think Derrick Henry, and I'm going to make this little bold prediction, is going to surpass 2,000 yards this season, and I think he might have a 250-yard rushing game today.
Wow. Well, wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the guy's just he's that good. He's a good player.
Why wouldn't they unleash him? You know what I mean? Because you got to understand, a running back doesn't have a ton of time in their career. They get beat down, they get worn down, especially in today's NFL. If there's ever a year for him to make a run at the rushing title, these last 3 games, if you take a look, he's playing really poor rushing defenses.
Yep.
I think 1 game, 2 games of 200 yards plus, he's right in it. He's at 1,532 yards right now. So something to look out for.
15-32. All right, well, why not? You might as well, if you can go out there and do it. I mean, the other team's going to have a say to that, but the Lions defense cannot stop him. So here's a fun one.
Keep going.
When do you get a matchup of 2 6-7 teams that both have a shot still at the playoffs?
If
Doesn't
there
happen
was
that often.
ever a time for you to use a veto, it would be on this game, but you don't do that.
I don't use vetoes. So yeah, it's the Bears at the Vikings. I don't think I need a veto on this one. I think this one's pretty. I'm pretty confident in this one, actually.
Tell me.
I'm pretty confident in this one. Chicago doesn't look good recently, and
they just smacked. Who did they play last week? They just won.
Yeah, they had their one win last week, which they came out. But Mitch Trubisky. Come on, I'm not banking on Mitch Trubisky, right? Come on, it's crazy stuff. Are
you banking on Kirk Cousins though?
Yes, because the Bears defense, while Khalil Mack is good, the Vikings came into last week looking really good, and they played against the Tampa Bay team that at its best, which is what they saw last week, is a Super Bowl contender. Right? They had Kirk Cousins on the run. They had Kirk Cousins, sacked. They had Kirk Cousins basically no time to throw. And I don't think that the Bears are going to be doing that as well as Tampa Bay did last week. So I think when Kirk Cousins has enough time, he has better weapons than almost anyone in the league. He really does, right? So this is one situation where Patrick Mahomes would also succeed if they put him on the Vikings. Other than that, I think Patrick Mahomes is just a mid-level quarterback in this league.
I'm cutting this episode now.
I'd love to put listen, Deshaun Watson. You put him over on the Chiefs, and he's winning the Super Bowl too. Deshaun, you don't think Deshaun Watson on the Chiefs does just as well?
He's very good. He's very good, but Patrick Mahomes is head and shoulders above him.
Yes, those head and shoulders belong to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. But yeah, you're 100% right. There are head and shoulders. There are head and shoulders belonging to the offensive team that he has, and the better coach, and a bunch of other things.
I'll help you. I'll help you out here because you've come into our groups a lot talking some yayo on Mahomes.
Yep.
So you remember when Curry would shoot from 30 out, and people were like, "Oh, he's, what is he that special?" And then you looked at the X's and O's, and you're like, "Wow, the reason Curry scores so many points and makes so many threes and is so accurate is because his fundamentals are so good, and he has a quick release. He could get a shot up faster than anybody else in the league, right? But it took a year or so to figure that out. Why is he so good? Same thing is happening with Mahomes. People can't really understand why he's so good, but when they do the post-game, the post-season analysis, they're going to realize that his fundamentals are off the charts. For example, it's not an accident that he's able to throw so accurately and so quickly on the run, going both left and right. That's a unique quality, Cage. Does that make sense?
Sure. I just don't see it. And I've watched him play a lot. I see
he's got some really good
weapons. No. I see it.
You don't see him going. You don't see him going left
it.
and throwing across his body accurately on the dime into someone's chest, literally hitting him in stride.
Yeah, every once in a while I see that. I see that on the clips, but I see
the
every
most accurate quarterback.
Nah. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to look that up for you because they track that stuff. They track accuracy, and I can't speak with authority on this one. I could just tell you that NFL more than anything else is a team of what you have surrounding you. It's a situational game, right? And we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen more often than not. And I just honestly, my take on it is, you get put in the right spot, you can be a Super Bowl champ. That's it. Get put in the right spot, you be a Super Bowl champ. You get put in the right team. So can I ask you something? And just be honest with me on this.
You could ask me
Lamar Jackson, right? Is Lamar Jackson winning the MVP of the NFL this year?
No.
Okay. Is Lamar Jackson, the athlete, somehow different than he was 12 months ago? It's still the same guy. Did he age 10 years between last year and this year? Did he lose some athletic ability? Did he lose the way to throw the ball?
No, but he's piss poor thrower. He's inaccurate, and he has less weapons now.
No, thank you.
But
Okay,
But
did he?
that's
Did it
not the
become?
same as Mahomes.
but
Mahomes
but
is the most accurate quarterback in the
That's not
league.
the point. You just made my point for me, which is you said he has less weapons. Last year, who won the MVP of the league?
I don't rate MVP very high,
Who
just so you know,
won?
but Lamar did.
Lamar won the MVP of the league. He was the most valuable player in the league, more valuable than Mr. Mahomes.
As
Now-
judged by old white men.
Oh my God. Okay, he won the MVP of the league last year. He was the most valuable player of the league, and someone's going to judge that of this year too. And Mahomes is in the running for top 2, and might win it again, right? And what I'm trying to tell you is that a lot of the reason that Mr. Jackson won that award last year, even though, as you like to say, he's a piss poor thrower, is because of the weapons and the team that was around him, which is not really in his control. And really, he won the most valuable player award, even though you consider him a piss poor thrower. He's not winning the MVP this year. He didn't take a step back in athletic ability. He didn't forget how to throw. He didn't forget how to run. He also didn't have a major injury this year. Going out in the middle of the game to go to take a number 2 break doesn't count as a major injury. But all of a sudden now, the cast around him, his defense is not as good. His offense doesn't look as good. The team around him doesn't look as good. And all of a sudden, he's no longer talked about as an MVP. People don't want to pay $100,000 for his National Treasures card. That's football. That's sports. And I got to tell you, Mahomes is a great quarterback. I'm not going to take anything away from him. I know I'm not talking yayo. I mean, I like to sell yayo every once in a while. It's make good money. But if this week Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce go down, Mahomes doesn't win the Super Bowl. He's not going out there and doing it himself.
But he gets them to the Super Bowl, and to put him and Lamar in the same sentence is blasphemous. Lamar couldn't hit water if he fell off a boat. He's so inaccurate. Mahomes could throw off the run. He could throw deep. He could throw across the field. He could throw across his body. He could sidearm it, and
We'll
it's
see,
insane,
man.
dude. Look at when he hits Tyreek in stride on 50-yard dimes.
No,
That's
I watched
not
that game last week. He actually underthrew Tyreek a couple times. A couple plays should have been picked. But it's all right. We don't have to talk about Mahomes. We'll see what happens. It's going to play out over the next couple weeks. And he has a shot today, when he's playing the Saints, to put that, this is a couple years ago, I read an article about the Heisman Trophy videos and advertising campaigns that get done by the college teams when they're trying to advertise for their players, right? I mean, today is that Heisman Trophy video game for Mahomes. He watched Rodgers play yesterday. He watched Rodgers upset with his own performance, 1 touchdown pass, 1 touchdown running. And he wasn't able to really put some distance between him and Mahomes. Today's the day, man. Let Mahomes go out there against a good defense, an opportunistic defense, and let him not have 3 interceptions like he had last week, and let him go out there and put his name on the MVP trophy. Let's see what he can do. Don't throw up some, 50-50 balls for Kelce to go up and grab. Don't rely on Kelce for every single 3rd down conversion because he's the best tight end in the game. Don't throw the ball up 50-50 balls and let Tyreek Hill go up and get it for you. Don't throw those 3-yard passes where Tyreek Hill does 19 yards after the catch. And when you do win the MVP, thank those guys that got you there. So we'll see what happens, man. This is why they play the games. I love it. I do. Remember, everybody listening to this who are Mahomies, I am a Raider fan, so take this from where it's coming from.
Yep. So let's make it clear. Let's solve this once and for all. If Mahomes has a 3 touchdown game,
yep,
1 interception or less, and they win this game, does the talk stop from you?
No.
That Mahomes is just an app.
3 touchdowns and an interception? No, that's not. I mean, listen. What I would want to see more from him is a clean game. I'd like to see him, escape some sacks. I'd like to see him being mobile and, like you say, throw some passes where he's using his mobility and still is accurate. He does not have to blow them out. I'll put more stock into a 4th quarter drive where he throws some passes to players not named Kelce and actually brings them.
What an absurd criteria! What an absurd and non-measurable way to judge his performance. Let's keep moving because he has 33 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this year. 4,208 yards and a 112.3 quarterback rating and a 12-1 Chiefs team. So I don't even know.
He's having a great year. He's having a great year on a great team with a lot of great weapons. That's all. And you know what? He might win the MVP again. But it won't happen this year. It might not happen next year. But I'm going to tell you something. And you guys can listen to this 2 years from now. You know, whether we're still talking because everybody thinks I'm a lunatic on Mahomes, there are a lot of people putting a lot of money in Mahomes cards right now that are going to be left holding some bags.
But
telling you
that's
that
a
right
different
now.
that's a different question. Stop moving the goalposts like they did with us on COVID.
What
We're
goalposts?
flat in the curve,
I'm just telling you. I'm telling you, Mahomes is the only.
Till 2028.
How's it moving the goalposts? I'm telling you right now, he has a great surrounding cast around him, just like Lamar Jackson had last year, and that changes year over year. That's the entire argument I'm trying to make. That a lot of times quarterbacks get credit for the team that they're put with, the coach they're put with, right? And you know what? Brady did it over such a long amount of time. It was different weapons, different team, you name it, and he was still able to do it with, over amount of time. This is Mahomes' third year, right? So far, he's been real good, right? The guy won. He won the MVP, then he won a Super Bowl. Who knows what he's going to do this year? Maybe he wins them both. He wins the MVP and the Super Bowl this year, and you got to start talking about how great he is. But I think the real thing you should talk about is how long is this team going to stay together? How long are they going to have those offensive weapons around him? How long are they able to keep all these guys and pay all these guys? And then what does he do? What does he do when he doesn't have all of them? Yes, sir.
He has, in the last 3 seasons, 109 touchdowns and 22 interceptions.
Yes.
With a 68% completion percentage.
Yes. What are you trying to tell me?
He's the best. He's the best quarterback we've seen in a long time, with the potential to be the best ever and to change the game the way Steph Curry changed.
I agree. And you know what? Exactly what you just said was said about Cam Newton after 2 years also.
What?
Yep. Exactly what you just said. He's the best athlete. He can
God.
change the game. He just won the MVP. He's got a great team. He looks so great. He changes the way it's played. He's Superman. I'm telling you, go back and look at the articles. And you know what happened? It didn't last.
I watched him play.
It didn't last.
I watched him play. You can't compare Cam Newton and Mahomes. Cam Newton
I'm not comparing
he's a monster
them
truck.
Athletically. I'm not comparing their games. I'm just telling you that there are similar headlines after 3 years of Cam Newton, because there are similar headlines. Just exactly what you just said. He's changing the game. There's never been anybody like him. He has the ability to change the game 100%. That's exactly what I'm saying. Cam Newton.
If you guys are going to send me DMs about movies that I need to watch and make me feel bad about not watching Monty Python and the Holy Grail or whatever movies Cage has brought up in the past. Monty Python.
Yep.
Whatever movies he's brought up, you have to let this man know. Send Cage Lawyer a DM if you guys agree with his take about Mahomes.
Yeah, go ahead. Send me.
Let him know.
I know there are a lot of people out there who are investing heavily in Mahomes.
We're not talking about Mahomes sports cards, Cage. This isn't a sports card podcast on Sundays.
It's always sports cards. It's always sports cards. No matter what, it's always sports cards. And that's all I care about. I care about there are people out there investing a lot of money in Mahomes, hoping that he's going to turn into the next great thing. And right now, he's been spectacular. His track record,
he is the next great thing. It's not even debatable.
And that's what I disagree with. So the Bears or the Vikings? Who did we pick on this one? I picked the Vikings. The Vikings. I think a Vikings minus 2.5 is one of the easier.
Wait, so that whole discussion stemmed from the Bears and the Vikings?
Yeah, we just never got to the pick on that one.
Sorry,
we never got to the pick on that. But I think we were talking about Mitch Trubisky. We were talking about Kirk Cousins. We were talking about different quarterbacks, different levels. You name it. We never got to the pick on that one. And it's a shame too, because that was a nice discussion. I like it. And you know what? We should put something up there about Mahomes, whether he's the next great thing. We should put a poll up or something like that. And I'm sure most people they like Mahomes. And this is one of those like vitriol conversations. People really get into it. And I'm not taking it from that standpoint, right? I'm really not. And you should also know I don't have a single Mahomes card. And that's not for any reason other than I'm a Raider fan. And I just can't bring myself to do it. And I probably would have made plenty of money had I been investing in Mahomes this whole time. I'm worried about Mahomes now. I'm worried about Mahomes, the price on Mahomes cards now and the thought process of Mahomes now, just like what you're saying now with Mahomes, he's basically priced for perfection. He's basically priced to win 5 Super Bowls and, 4 MVPs. And everything's got to break right for that to happen. Not about his athleticism, not about his talent. His talent's great. There have been many, many talented quarterbacks who come through the league who don't win 5 Super Bowls. The situation has to be perfect. And right now, what has broken for him is not only is he the best athletic quarterback, the best quarterback in the league, but he's also been in the best situation. That's the point I'm trying to make. Maybe I'm not doing it that well.
Point taken.
So your favorite game of the week is next. New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. Is it Tua time today? Is it Tua time? It is the Patriots at the Dolphins. So, Pats, 6-7. They've missed the playoffs twice since Brady was there. 2001, they missed the playoffs twice. They currently are not yet eliminated. They're not eliminated. The nail's not in their coffin. They have a 4% chance to qualify this year. But after they lose to the Dolphins today, that number will be 0, and they will officially be eliminated. I'm calling the Dolphins win today. It's Dolphins -1. Dolphins take this one. They seal the fate of the Patriots and knock the Patriots out of the playoff contention. I'd like to say Bill Belichick has something up his sleeve. We've talked about this. It seems like it's a recurring theme. In years past when Belichick's defense played against a rookie or second-year quarterback, they just owned them. You could just pencil it in for a Patriots win, but that has not been the case this year. And, if we told you that coming into this game, you'd have a scrappy underdog looking to upset and be the spoiler for the superior team and knock them out of the division, title run, you'd think we were talking about the Dolphins being that scrappy underdog team trying to knock down those Patriots, but it's actually, the opposite here. And, I've seen the Patriots win a couple games here, but it's only against teams where they have the ability to kind of like disrupt somebody, right? Where they rely on a passing quarterback where, Belichick can do something, his defense can do something and make mistakes. That hasn't been Miami this year. Their style of play is one that just does not lead itself towards the Patriots being opportunistic on defense and being able to disrupt them.
Tua doesn't even air the ball out.
He doesn't. He doesn't air the ball out, right?
He throws the ball like 6 yards on a dot.
It's short passing and it's running game, and that it's a recipe for the Dolphins to win slightly ugly and keep the Patriots from forcing them to do something that gives the Patriots a chance to win the game. So you're 100% right. It's Tua short passing. It's Tua running. It's Miami running game. It's, if you're a fantasy guy, get Gesicki in the lineup because I don't know if him and Tua are sleeping with each other, but he has become a fantasy stud since Tua started. Him and Jenny are like peas and carrots. You know what movie that's from?
No.
Okay. Forrest Gump. It was a horrible impersonation, but it's from Forrest Gump. But in any event, Gesicki in the lineup is going to score a touchdown today. And Miami wins this one.
I don't think there's a touchdown in this game.
Oh, there'll be one. There'll be one. There'll be one or two.
Yes, I'm exaggerating. but guys, honestly, how does this go over 41.5 points? Cam Newton's favorite passing target is the ground, and Tua's is 5 yards away. But how does this hit 41? I don't see either of the teams getting in the 20s.
Cam Newton's favorite passing target is the ground.
This is the guy you just minutes ago you compared to Mahomes. Just
yeah,
so you know.
No,
I'm not even going to go back there.
I did not compare. I said that if you looked at headlines, you would see sentences that were exactly what you just said. He's changing the game. He's the best there is. He won the MVP.
If I read headlines, I would have 20 tuna fish PSA 10s of The Rock because I only follow Darren Ravel.
You should, but imagine how rich you'd be. So here's another headline game, right? And I'm gonna really get you going here. I'm picking the Cowboys. Give me those 3.5 points on the Cowboys. I think they might actually beat the Niners today. It's so funny, man. When this one came out, this was supposed to be, when the schedule came out on this was supposed to be Jimmy Garoppolo leading the NFC champion into Dak Prescott's house, right? This was supposed to be Garoppolo and the defending NFC champs going into Dallas against Dak, and it was going to rekindle that 90s Niners-Cowboys rivalry. But instead, what do we get? We get Nick Mullins against Andy Dalton. and a game where, unless you're a Cowboys or Niners fan, there's no reason to really watch. Neither team has been eliminated from the playoffs yet. The Niners 5-8, and the Cowboys 4-9, both mathematically still alive. The Niners are dealing with some real injuries here. Debo's injured, Mostert's injured, you name it. I think the Cowboys actually string it together here and win 2 games straight. I love the fact that we're getting 3.5 points on this one, because if the Niners win, it's going to be a close game and sneak one out. But I think this is a money line one here. Give me the Cowboys and those 3.5 points. I'll take it, and I will run. And we have one. That's all of our 1:00 games. My favorite 4:05 game. I love when you get a 17-point spread, don't you? I mean, the Jets.
I think this Jets team on and off the field should have a 30 for 30 done about how bad they actually are as an organization.
We have to do a math right at the end of this year. I mean, the Jets may be the team that as a betting underdog got the most points over a season. Is there a way to figure that out? Like a team that was underdog by the most during the season? Because it seems like every week the Jets are more than a 2-touchdown underdog. I mean, they were a 3-touchdown underdog to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs covered, right? So, right? I mean, this is the Rams. They're not even that good, and they're favored by 17 points. You want me to predict something? Yeah, please, predict away.
Jets aren't going to score a point today.
Okay. I like it.
Shutout.
You know what this game tells me? This tells me, and again, you guys could jump all over me if you like from my Mahomes hatred, right? But it's a situation thing. I like to talk about that in the NFL more than anything else. But, okay, jump all over me if you want. I don't think there's that much of a difference between Jared Goff and Sam Darnold.
Oh, okay, thank God. I thought you were going to say Jared Goff and Mahomes. I would hang up and sell this podcast for pennies.
No, and Goff's a better quarterback in the whole deal. But it just shows you that Goff, who is developing under what many consider an offensive genius like Sean McVay, and Darnold has been
working for Voldemort?
Dying. I mean, what do you say under Adam Gase and the 0-13 Jets with, I think his receiving core today used to play flag football with me on the deserted and abandoned highways in Staten Island in the snow.
Is Mims not playing today?
I mean, I don't even know who. Mims is a decent rookie.
Mims is decent.
But come on now. I mean, just talk about an imbalance of talent here, right? And that's why you get a 17-point spread. You have the 9-4 Rams, who have been looking good recently, and it looks like they might actually win that NFC West. I think the Rams covered the 17 spread. I think you're right. I think you might get like a 30-3 final here. And
I love your comparison actually between Darnold and Goff. They remind me of like those like kind of mannequin dolls that like you have to press a button on the back to turn them on because there's no brain waves going through them in between.
Look though, right? I mean, Goff's a viable fantasy quarterback this year. Goff's an offensive, quarterback. He's actually playing decent football this year, and he's got some talent around him. A decent running back, some wide receivers around him. He's got a coach that is allowing him to develop and turn into a feasible and viable, NFL starting quarterback for the foreseeable future. The Rams are not going to be drafting a quarterback anytime soon, where it seems like the Jets draft a quarterback every single year. When they're always in the tanking talk, whether it's, sinking for Sam or tanking for Tua or, forcing this Clemson quarterback to go back to school for another year. I mean, it's just an amazing thing, right? Trevor Lawrence.
It'd be cool.
Thank you for Trevor. Go ahead.
A lot of people struggled in 2020, and you guys, I've talked about the Barstool Fund yesterday, and I've gotten DMs. So if you're interested in helping out, please do. But what would be cool is to have a game for charity against Clemson versus the Jets, end of the year. Make it happen. How cool would that be to raise some money?
Well, it'll be better than this next game, although it's a fun one. This is the last game we have that we haven't picked yet. It's the last 4:00 game. It is your
shrug
Eagles.
Off my charity idea. No big deal.
I like charity, but we already have our listening audience with their task for the Barstool Fund from yesterday, and I realize that I've now carried this Mahomes conversation past 10:00, and I want to get the I want to get this episode out for people so that they actually can bet on it. So the last game is your Eagles. Your Eagles at the Arizona Cardinals. And you got the Cardinals favored by 6 here. I got to tell you something. I don't trust Jalen Hurts. I'm shocked that he came out and won last week. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
These two guys played for Oklahoma.
Yep.
I wonder if they were actually on the roster together. I'll take a quick peek while you're talking.
No, I don't think they were because they were transfers. Both of them transferred. Murray transferred to Oklahoma to play in 17 and won the Heisman in 18. Hurts transferred to Oklahoma in 19 and was a Heisman finalist. So I think, you want to talk about Oklahoma having a nice, I don't know what they're doing to get these guys to transfer, but whatever they're doing, keep doing it. Blue chip style. But yeah, I mean, listen, this is Hurts is better than Wentz, right? It's a cool matchup of Oklahoma, quarterbacks. But Murray is, I think, the more complete player. I think the Cardinals are a better team. This is a perfect example of that. Where your offensive weapons around you make you better. Arizona needs the game. The Eagles 4-8-1. They're not going anywhere this year, even in that NFC East. Right now, Arizona's a toss-up at 7-6 to even make the playoffs. I think they're a 50-50 shot at the wild card. The Raiders losing the game on Thursday night helps them because they were one of those teams that was in the hunt. But Cardinals need the game, and that's the big difference here. The Eagles don't. I think the Cardinals go out there and win this one pretty easy. Give me the Cards -6 on that one. And there's your slate of games.
I'm going to go opposite of you. I'm going to say Eagles win this game.
Oh, you're a Philly guy, so it's okay. You're allowed.
Right. And my audience knows that I'm biased.
No, you are not biased.
Just kidding.
You are the opposite of bias. But this one here, I like it because I think the Cardinals should have been even a bigger favorite than this one. And Jalen Hurts pulled a rabbit out of his hat last week, being able to win with his first start. I think that was fool's gold. And I think that Vegas is hoping people put their money on the Eagles. The Eagles are one of those betting darlings, right? People in Philly love to bet on their team, and they think they got the next, Joe Montana here with Jalen Hurts. I just don't see it. I think he got lucky last week. I think this is one where the better team, which is the Cardinals, is going to prevail.
All right. Well, let's get this up. You're going to go record. We're going to add these little picks in the beginning to save you guys time. And the analysis is on the back end. So thank you guys for listening. And we'll be back with our normal sports card plays. Actually, a special guest episode tomorrow. So Luca Nation, have an amazing Sunday and enjoy it.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.